we go.
Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
Oopsie poopsie.
All right. Mic check. Mic check. Are you guys hearing us? Music playing still, too. I think they should be hearing us now. Yeah.
I see exactly one yee. But I don't know if that's necessarily...
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
So apologies.
He was...
I know whenever you change something, that's exactly when things go wrong. So I had my microphone plugged into a different port, and that's what caused it. Yeah. I fully blame everybody in the chat for this. So just know that it's on you all, not me. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that, everybody. So as I was trying to say, and you all didn't hear, and it was so eloquent too. I'm so sorry that Mr. Bushido is here with everybody. I apologize for that. But we are joined here by our good brother, Agent Deli, aka Deli, and Deli is a game designer who worked with Ubisoft and Microsoft. Deli, introduce yourself to the folks.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you for having me on here. Daniel, thank you for having me on here. And of course, Umbra. Umbra, I've spoken to you before, and I'm sure we played Halo together before. But Daniel, I haven't met you, so it's nice to be able to be on this production. And of course, but for anybody who doesn't know, hello, my name is Deli. I'm a AAA game developer, specifically a level designer. And I've been in the industry about 7 years now. I think this year will be the 8th year that I'm in. So yeah, I worked at Ubisoft, worked at Microsoft, and I am currently going on a new project here soon. I can't announce any details, but I think it'll be an exciting one if it goes through. So
Nice.
fingers crossed I get to announce it here shortly.
Absolutely, that would be dope. Good luck to you on that. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host Daniel McGee. Danny, how was the week been for you, brother?
Oh, it's been pretty good. Just a ton of work. I actually haven't had a whole lot of time for playing games, and have instead just been watching Demon Slayer like nonstop. So I'm like, because I hadn't watched any of it, so now I'm about halfway through the Entertainment District arc. Have either of you watched Demon Slayer?
I've watched it before, of course, as you know. I just haven't watched this current season yet. Yeah,
I'm behind anyway.
yeah.
No, I don't haven't watched it past like episode 3. I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's a little bit overrated, but still like really good. It has this issue where it's like I really love the main character. I love Tanjiro. I love Nezuko. And then like so many of the surrounding characters are just really annoying. It's like, I wish that there was less of specifically Zenitsu. Like, please go away forever now, thanks.
I think it's a matter of it just having so much superb animation that it really carries over to a lot of people. I think that's really
it's definitely pretty most of the time. I think that like when they're actually doing fights, it looks great. There's some really weird use of like CG where it'll be like, we just decided that we didn't feel like drawing this character walking down the hallway, so he's gonna be a CG model real fast. Or like the Mugen Train movie where it's just like a fleshy train made out of CGI and it looks really gross. I was like, I don't know about all this. But yeah, when they're doing like the actual fighting effects, it's unparalleled. Very, very pretty.
Yeah, definitely. So, just moving on, I guess, to today's topics. Like I said, we had this. Obviously, we had the kind of funny situation happen today with Phil Spencer being interviewed, and we were going to talk about, Redfall and the state of gaming in general as far as things go, because Star Wars and plenty of other games in 2023 have been affected by the situation of, I guess, all of these tech issues. Left and right, it seems to be happening so much and all around. And I guess that's what, that's part of why I definitely wanted to have you on, Deli, to get more. 1 second, y'all. Hold on. My voice volume is about to go up dramatically.
Oh. You mean I gotta hear you more?
Yes.
Oh, no.
The power. Give it to me. There we go. All right. So you all should hear me much clearer now. That's part of the issue of switching ports the way I did it. It lowered it back down. So I should be good now. You all, how do I sound now in the chat? Sounds better? Let me know. So, yeah. So we were going to lead into that. So now this has kind of thrown things into a bit of a little spin, I suppose. So I want to, I guess we'll have to kind of cover both in a way. And we'll finesse it. We'll finesse it. So I'm going to switch panels here to the kind of funny thing while we talk about it. How about that from one? And yeah, so you had Gary Whitta, you had Paris, and you had Snowbike Mike, and I thought they did a good job in asking Phil all these questions personally. And Phil, to his credit, I don't think he tried to shy away from anything. He answered everything, as transparently as he could. I thought that you could see that he was upset too. Like, did you notice that, Danny? Like how he
Yeah, oh,
appeared to
absolutely.
be?
And he should be, right? I mean, like, not just because he's undoubtedly been getting a ton of flack for this online and everything, but like, it's something that is a negative for his brand.
Mhm.
And I have the utmost respect for Phil Spencer for continuing to go on to the show and being so frank and answering all the questions. Like, you would never see a Jim Ryan or a what's his name, Doug Bowser.
Yeah.
You would never see them on a podcast like this. Not even in like the best of times would you see Jim Ryan showing up on a Kind of Funny podcast. But Phil Spencer is willing to do that and willing to talk about the problems and be really honest about it. And I really, really respect him for that.
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of that, I mean, one of us here has a pretty unique, I guess, relationship with Phil, and that would be Deli. Deli, you had worked with Microsoft, and you can kind of give us some insight into that. A lot of people sometimes put, their own spin on what they believe somebody can be. And for me, I've always felt that Phil was a pretty genuine guy. What's your take on that, Deli?
100%. I mean, Phil is not to sound like the shill brigade, but Phil's he's a top tier man. He's genuine, 10 toes down. He's absolutely fantastic. I mean, he is just through and through. He's a gamer. He's a consumer. He's one of us. And he believes with his whole heart and being that he's moving in the right direction. He's pulling things up. I mean, yeah, if Phil could do everything that Xbox allows him to, money, studios, whatever it may be, content wise, however Phil wants to do things.
Mm-hmm.
If everything goes by Phil's plans, I mean, like, Xbox is going to be in a very good spot. Unfortunately, things aren't going to plan. But some of the stuff that he has implemented, Game Pass, whatever it may be, buying the studios, obviously acquiring things.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, yeah, he's definitely setting things in motion, and you can definitely see the You can definitely see the dominoes falling throughout the last couple of years. I mean, especially with the Blizzard acquisition, right?
Yeah.
He's definitely full force behind that. So you can't not give him his flowers, right? You can't deny him his flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, how he is on these podcasts is how he is in real life.
Yeah.
So I've met the man at Microsoft 1 week, and this is something called it's called Microsoft 1 week, and it is actually 1 week where all of the Microsoft employees get together,
mm-hmm.
and we do cool things like game shows and stuff like that. But throughout the in this like giant arena or whatever, there's a bunch of tents and booths that are set up, and you're allowed to get together and figure something out. And it's kind of like a game jam. It's kind of like a little like engineering party where you just find something, you work on something, and then you produce it by the end of the week, and then you pitch it and try to see if we can kind of push the company forward.
Right.
And it's I love Microsoft 1 week. It's awesome. It allows me to meet people like Phil and talk to him on like a ground to ground basis. Yeah, personal basis. And we got to play D&D with him. He is 100% a gamer. He's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But play D&D with Phil Spencer to my
it's pretty cool, right?
Right.
But yeah. Phil Spencer, during Microsoft 1 week is actually that's how the Microsoft accessibility controller came to be.
Really?
Yeah, because during Microsoft 1 week a few years back,
mm-hmm.
That was like one of those big things. Like a bunch of people were corralling together, and they said, "Hey, how about we make an accessibility controller?" And so like 6 or 7 engineers got together, a couple game designers, a couple PR, HR, a bunch of people got together on a booth and said, "Hey, we want to work on like a new controller." And they came up with the accessibility controller again a few years back, and then they pitched it, and then Microsoft loved it, and they said this is great for the industry. So they ended up making it a thing because of Microsoft 1 week. So yeah, I think it's a very important event for the company, and it's a very important event for me as a worker because I'm able to meet people again like Phil and be able to have a direct contact and say, "Hey, what do you think about crunch? Like, how do you think about how what's it called? What's his name? from Psychonauts.
Oh,
I can't believe
Tim
I
Schafer.
cannot believe I just forgot his name.
It happens.
But
You
know,
got so
You said
much
from
going on.
Psychonauts, I thought you were talking about the character.
How do you feel about
Rasputin?
how do you feel about Tim Schafer and how he runs his company? Because he's got this thing that he just did called People Managers.
Mm-hmm.
And him and what's it called? Man, I cannot remember all these names right now on the spot. I love it. Insomniac Games.
Okay.
CEO, founder of Insomniac Games. Him and Tim are very, very close friends, and they got together and they created this thing called, People Managers. So being able to actually ask like Aaron Greenberg or Phil Spencer, say, hey, what do you think about installing People Managers?
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically like a step between the worker and upper management to kind of facilitate issues like
kind of like a union rep almost in a sense.
Basically, yeah, like they don't technically work for like the studio, they just work for like managing the people, right? So like we have these things called balcony talks where they pull us out to the balcony and they say, how do you feel about your workloads this week? And it's somebody that you can genuinely talk to. They're not here to fire you. They're not here to like dig for information. They're just here to solve problems.
They're gonna walk up to you. I just want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you.
And it is kind of it's nerve wracking.
How come when you say it sounds like a threat?
It's I just want to talk to you. Why are you running? Why are you running?
Yeah.
So Deli, let me transition this because we got so much to cover. But in that, because one of the things I think a lot of us, and I've seen it tons of times, and I've seen it time and time again, and it's one thing I think it's a pertinent question that I think is fair to ask too, is what is going on as far as quality control when it comes to gaming right here in Microsoft. And of course I know people will get defensive and say, well, Sony has had these issues, and I'm not concerned about Sony specifically on this. I'm concerned specifically about Xbox. And one of the things that keep coming up is what is up with Matt Booty, who oversees a lot of this. And I know this case is unique because this is Bethesda and they kind of have their own, anonymity in the way of how to handle things. But why is it that something like this with Redfall, for instance, could happen where it gets past quality control and releases in a state that it did? And this is a game, by the way, that they introduced last year at the showcase and 2 years now, I think now, at the showcase. And was it 2 years or was it a year?
It was 2.
I think it was 2 years now.
2 years now, yeah, because they delayed it and then to now.
Yeah, so, it was delayed last year, yeah.
Yeah, so how did something like that, where you introduce this as the stinger of the episode of the showcase and say, oh, one more thing, Redfall, right? You see the shirts with the little teeth on it and all that, and then they kind of hyped it up as this next big thing, and I remember seeing it. I was like, oh, okay, I guess. And then once they showed it again at the next showcase, I warmed up to the idea that this could be something special. And then you do have a great team in Arcane. This one being Austin, one of their divisions. Of course, there's two, Leon and Austin. But you have these two things here, and you see that, and you're wondering to yourself, okay, this is going to be this big thing that comes out. And then we get what we get. I'm wondering, and it happened with Halo too, when they showcased that. It's like, you all didn't see this? Or did you see this and think that it looks good? I'm wondering what it is. Is it that you saw it and it looked good to you? Or did you not see this at all? Because that's the thing that puzzles me. So what are your thoughts on that, as far as, because I hear you on the whole team thing and how there's layers to that of how you all can communicate with management, but how does that work in your estimation behind the scenes with people like Matt Booty and him overseeing these studios?
Well, usually kind of how it works is that the studio heads and the creative directors, they definitely have their hands on the wheel, right? They're the ones driving the car. I hate analogies, but this is probably the easiest way to do things, right? Mm-hmm. They're the ones with the hands on the car. They're the ones driving, right?
Right.
So let's say a year ago, let's reel it back. I don't actually know. I don't work for Arcane Austin, so I don't know. But we can kind of kind of guesstimate
and theorize.
Yeah, let's kind of just theorize what's going on here, right? But this, I'm doing it from my actual experience. So because our game also got delayed a year, so coming from actual experience here. So last year, probably what ended up happening was that Matt Booty, Todd Howard, because let's see. Todd Howard is CEO of Bethesda. Pete Hines is CEO of publishing, right? So they probably got together and they said, hey, what's the game looking like, guys? And everybody's like, yeah, game A looks great. Game B looks great. Game C looks great. How about Redfall? And they said, here's what we have. And probably a year ago, they have it. And they said, looks okay, but this cannot launch in time. And let's say the original deadline, because we all have like ballpark numbers about what's going on, right? I'm sure Todd, as CEO of Bethesda, knows, hey, we want this game to come out in the springtime, right? So nice, easy numbers, let's say March, right? And they say, can we launch in March 9 months from now? And this is E3, right? And I'm sure the studio said, yeah, sure, we can definitely do that. And then Todd says, are you sure about that? And they said, yeah, you know, Harvey Smith from Arcane Austin is probably like, yeah, we can definitely do it. 3 months down the road, they probably scrap something, right? Let's say they change engines, or let's say a bunch of people quit, or let's say something's just not working, right? Like the co-op's not working. We've never made a co-op game, like an actual party system co-op game with like servers, with peer-to-peer or anything like that before. We've only done asymmetric stuff.
Right.
And this is not the Deathloop team. This is the Prey team. So I don't think Prey had multiplayer. True. So let's just say they've never done multiplayer before.
They've also never done anything more than 30 frames per second either. So
yeah, because Prey came from the Xbox One era. So they're like, they know C++ because that's the engine that they worked in. So they know the foundation, right? So the knowledge transfers over. But let's just say, down the road, something bad happens. And they said, hey, Todd, let's have a little meeting. And so Todd has the meeting, and let's say this is Christmas now, right? And Todd goes, hey, how's it coming along? We're coming in for our yearly checkup, at the end of the year, 6 months checkup. And the studio head goes, hey, we're not going to make March. And Todd goes, well, we already promised everybody we're making March. So y'all are going to have to figure something out. And that's usually kind of how it goes. And then they said, well,
so you're saying that it's a case where you're going to have to ship this as is. That's the case? Like
basically, because at the end of the day, investors and of course, like higher ups and producers, scheduling and production pipeline, they're on a set schedule, right? Like if we had all the time in the world, I would love all the time in the world. Ask any game developer, we always want more time. The problem is we don't have more time. We never have more time. Right. So they said, hey, how much time can we actually get? And some publishers like, Sony say you're getting 3 months and that's all you're getting, And some publishers say, we're going to delay the game indefinitely. Some publishers say, we can push it back. And in this case, they said, yeah, we can push it back a year. So let's revisit that conversation again. E3 comes whirring up 2022, right? They said Phil comes out. He hears from Todd that the game's in good position. Both games are great. Bethesda's doing fantastic. Todd comes out and says, everything that you see here can be played in the next 12 months. Fast forward. Let's go to December. Hey, Todd, how's the game looking? Todd's like, well, we missed most of our deadlines. We had to scrap some stuff. The co-op's kind of working. We haven't started on optimizations yet. We haven't technically finished the game. Can we get more time? And they said, well, we can't give you any more time, buddy. Like, this has to come out before or either the beginning of the fiscal year, before the end of the fiscal year. Right. This is how our investors have our money lined up. This is how things are working. It's a very complex machine. Yeah. And then they said, well, can you give us like 4 months or something like that? They kind of bargain for time. They negotiate back and forth. And at the end of it, well, somebody's got to put their foot down and say, hey, this has got to come out. And when that word comes down the pipeline, it's got to come out. There's no pushing it back. You can't do anything. So you really have to do everything. Yeah, you have to do everything you possibly can.
Well, because
it sucks.
Yeah, well, because plus Umbra, you on the Xbox Factor podcast that we're both on. If anybody in the chat didn't know that, one of the things that you mentioned is that you don't think that Redfall has good bones. Like it's got a lot of like really deep set problems, right?
Foundationally,
right.
Is
and I agree with some of that. Yeah. And so it's like, and Deli, you can probably speak to this to better clarity than I can, but I think at a certain point you're like, we can keep delaying this more and more and more, but at some point we just have to make the decision whether we're going to put it out broken or just cancel it. And if you cancel it, then you're just losing all the money that you've put into it with absolutely zero like get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, I mean, you have to choose between, are you going to make some money and have sort of a PR shitstorm, or are you going to make zero money and then also have a PR shitstorm when you cancel the game?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So that is a good question there for me, and that's what I was going to ask next is, because all these things, that makes sense, Deli, what you just told us, and I know you know your stuff. So my thing is this, though. If it's a case of something like Starfield, which I'm sure is going to launch largely great, that's fine. I get that. Hey, we got to get what you got to get now. But when you have something that's kind of foundationally broken, as Redfall is, how does that get past the point where they're like, you just got to put it out, versus you got to cancel this, or we're going to give you another delay, 2 years to fix it? Because foundationally, Redfall is flawed. It's not something that can just be patched. You know what I mean? And I think you know that, having played it too, Deli.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that the game can be patched. I think the game has launched on. I think the game is. I know this might be a hot take. I still get flack about this, right? So I think the game is finished. I think the game is done because you can play it from start to finish. I don't know. I haven't beat the game yet. I'm about halfway through. I'm about to enter the second area.
About the same for me. Yeah.
So I don't know if I run into a progression stunting bug or anything, I will definitely put that out on Twitter and say, hey, this game is actually unfinished. I can't beat it. You know. But for me, the game is finished. You can play it from start to finish. That's very loose, right? Everybody's got a different definition of finished, but it is largely unpolished. It is unrefined. It is, it is just really, it's really hard to look past the state of it, right? Like it runs at 30, and while I don't actually have a single problem with the game running at 28 FPS because I'm just playing it regardless, I don't care. It would be dishonest of me to say that what doesn't exist, right? Like, because it doesn't bother me doesn't mean it doesn't bother Daniel, right? Daniel's like, yo, I want 60 FPS. They promised 60 FPS. I'm not buying the game.
Actually, doesn't bother me that much either. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But if you want to spend $70, I spent $70 on the game. To me, it doesn't bother me. And I'm running on a 3090 Threadripper PC. It's running at like 40 FPS in town, unbothered, right? But other people, that's a huge problem. Pop-ins, AI being dumb. It's unpolished, unrefined. The world is empty. That stuff can be patched in and fixed. The foundation is actually laid, right? Like all the missions work, the looting system works. And that's kind of where the problem arises, right? I think that's all they had time to get finished.
Well, see,
they had like the foundation set, and then they said, this is all we got.
But see, that's what I mean by my definition of unfinished is not that you can beat the game from start to finish. That is a different metric, right? Like you can beat it, but unfinished means it's unpolished. It means that there are assets that are poorly put in. There's tons of pop in and load in, and you've seen it. I know you've seen it where plenty of the scenery doesn't even load in, and you can stare at it for a while, and it'll finally maybe pop in. Things of that nature, rather, the texture pops in and such like that. And that's what I mean by that. I mean the gunplay being foundationally broken, because it's not good. And I think some have accepted it, but I don't think, and I've said this before too, and I said that you can enjoy a mediocre game. You can enjoy a bad game.
Right.
100%.
But it doesn't make it good because you enjoy it. You see what I mean? And that's the problem I have with Redfall, is that, and I say foundationally, I mean things that when you patch, typically they patch corrections to bugs and things of that nature, frame rate. Redfall has the issue of the gunplay being set in place. There is no ADS to fix when you zoom in, for instance, because it throws you off, as you've probably seen and played when you try to aim in. So you have to try to adjust that in the options, your movement, your latency, things of that, just odd programming.
It's really basic, really rudimentary. Like I said, I can't, it would be dishonest of me to say that there aren't issues, right? Even if I enjoy it, I don't care. Even if this is a 10 out of 10 experience for me, I can't lie and say, yes, it has problems running. Yes, the missions are bare. There's like 18 of them in the game, right? And the majority of them are side missions.
And most of them, and it kind of same, like mostly, really.
Yeah, it's largely repetitive. The AI doesn't work. There are huge clipping issues, LOD issues, texture pop-ins. There's huge issues with, traversal mechanics. Things just aren't working. Enemies are shooting me through walls and stuff. They can shoot through cover. I can't shoot through cover.
Right.
I've died a bajillion times doing that. Safe houses aren't, resupplying your stuff properly. Blah blah blah. This and that.
Yeah.
Everything is rudimentary. Everything is basic. So yes, I can say confidently, the game has issues. The game has a lot of issues.
Right.
And if I were to objectively tell you guys right now what my score would be, I would rate it a 2 out of 10.
Ooh.
Like, honestly, there's no reason a game like this, somebody should spend $70, right? I've been a consumer longer than I've been a game developer, so I'm speaking as a consumer standpoint here. I spent $70 on this, and it's really, really hard for me to recommend it to somebody. Like, if somebody just down the street or somebody in chat said, "Hey, Deli, should I buy this game?" It would be a hard no, right? Like, if I was on the fence, I'd give it a 5 out of 10, right? Like, yeah, if you're a huge fan of like party shooters, yeah, you should check it out. If you're a huge fan of vampires, check it out. But no, I cannot recommend this game in its current state.
Right.
So I give it a 2 out of 10. Like, actively avoid this game. It's a waste of time for you, right? A waste of money, whatever it may be. But with that being said, yes, there's a huge amount of issues.
Yeah.
I am willing to look past all of them because I just like playing games in general. I just want to experience stuff.
Yeah.
But
there is fun to be had in it too. Like, we've acknowledged that. Me, Danny, plenty of people.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that there is fun to be had in it, especially if you play co-op and you play multiplayer with your buddies. I've had fun playing, and I've enjoyed it playing with friends, for instance, right? So you can have fun. I don't want anybody to misconstrue the two. I think you can enjoy even bad games. You can enjoy them.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of, and when it comes to being critical on it, I think some people kind of get antsy and shy away from, like, well, yeah, I like it, so that's all that matters. Yeah, well,
sure.
Yeah, you have to be fair.
Yeah.
You can be fair and still do no harm. Like, you can tastefully say, yes, it has issues, it has problems.
Right.
But yeah, I have to be fair and say, like, no, it in its current state, it's not worth your $70.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if I can jump in here for just a second, I think that's exactly true, right? Because we were talking in the green room, even in, like, me and Deli, we were both saying, like, we're having fun with the game. It's not good, but we're having fun with it. I think when I look at it, it's such a strong concept for me. I really love the idea of, like, it's Far Cry, but it's vampires. I really like that whole like New Englandy Stephen King vibe that they're going for. I think that there's a lot of really good ideas here, but I just don't think the studio was capable of pulling it off. And one of the things that I want to push back on is the idea that the game's not finished. And it's not because I think the game is, done and that there was nothing that could be, further worked on.
Right.
It's because I think that saying that a game is unfinished when it comes out is giving them too much leeway. I think if you put a game out, it's done. It's just bad. It's not that it's not done. You released it. This is the product.
Yeah.
This is the product.
It's just done poorly, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you present me a chicken sandwich and it's pink in the middle, this is what you have made me. It's bad. It's not done. It's bad, right?
Yeah,
and I think that's.
Well, I guess that's kind of both ways. It's undone too.
Well, I mean, I'm not here to argue with anybody. Like, Umbra, if you genuinely feel like it's unfinished, I won't argue. I'm not going to argue with it.
No, I think you make sense. I get what you're saying for sure.
I think that what we have is extremely bare bones.
Yeah.
It's just and for me, that's done because, again, I can play it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's worth your money, obviously it's subjective for everybody. But for me, as a game developer and as a consumer, if I can finish it from start to finish without any issues, without any major issues, and again, I'm more lenient in video games and media than I am like with other things. But I won't withhold my criticism. I'm very vocal about my criticism.
Right.
So
I'd agree with you. I would gladly say, like, yes, Umbra, I would agree that it could be classified as and should be classified as unfinished.
Yeah. Just because of things they have, just by the standard of things that needs to be fixed and corrected, I guess, maybe.
Well, and just the standards set by competitors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, look at Zelda comes out next week. You know what I mean? Who knows what that game? Who knows what that game is going to look like?
And both at 70, this and then Zelda. It's like, oh, that's a hard. Like
Yeah.
now it made 70 much more acceptable for Zelda, I think, in hindsight now, by the way. But I got to kind of quickly transition to this because I know Deli has very limited time right now because it's 47 after. But so these are some of the talking points or highlights, I suppose, of this interview right here, Deli. And because I know you didn't get a chance to see it, but Phil took full responsibility for Redfall's launch, which I appreciated. And it goes into line into what you spoke on and meeting him and how he's a stand-up guy. He was disappointed by the situation. He says that Arcane didn't hit internal goals for Redfall. If it was bugs and performance issues, they would have delayed it, but the game direction is what's lacking. A delay wouldn't have changed much. And that's what I say. I said pretty much the same, but just in different, more harsh tones, I think. He says Arcane will continue to work on the game. They have a good ETA on the 60 frames per second patch and more. They made a mistake showing the game in 60 frames. He acknowledged that. He says the engineers from the Coalition, Rare, and more came in to help the moment they learned about the 60 frames per second issue, which was closer to release.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah, there you go. They asked for more time, or they found out something. In Phil's words, they found out way too late.
Way too late.
Because the graphics and the optimization is one of the last things to be done in the game development pipeline, right?
Yeah.
So they set up all the levels, they place all the enemies. And let's say that happened in February, right? Or that happened in January, right?
Right.
And they said, okay, we got 4 months to tighten up the game, right? Which is really good. Like 4 months is great. Like look at Forspoken, look at Ratchet and Clank, look at Spider-Man, whatever it may be. Like look at God of War. 4 months, perfect time. Let's crush all these bugs. They get into it, and the playtesters QA probably gave that feedback back and said, look, guys, the game is not running well. And they said, oh, well, let's spend some time to fix that. And then days turn into weeks. And the next thing you know, they're 6 weeks out. And they said, how's it looking? And it just wasn't looking good. And as somebody who has had that actually happen to them in a smaller scale, like our E3 demo for Watch Dogs Legion wasn't working like 10 days before launch, like 10 days before the E3 presentation. Like we had to scramble and make it work. And I can only imagine how dreadful that is 6 to 10 weeks out from launch, like from the actual full release. That would just give me a panic attack every day. Like the fact that I come into work every single day and I get my work done, and we can only move so fast. Like that's disappointing. It really genuinely is.
It is. He also spoke on loving Arcane, and he says that he wants to keep letting them do the thing. No creative stops there, and I appreciate that too. And I know a lot of people are kind of glad that it's a lot more diversity in Microsoft games and how they handle that, and I appreciate it as well. There are times though where I felt like, man, can you allow the Coalition to make something else, another AAA game, instead of just Gears? But I do appreciate that they don't stop creativity when it comes to that. And I think it used to be a thing where people used to think Microsoft stifled creativity. So that is interesting. He says
now that shoe's kind of swapped over to PlayStation, even though they put out great games. But
they lack
you see
diversity
what
now.
happens to
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you see what happens to Sony Bend or like Montreal or not Montreal, Media Molecule.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's going on over here?
And he says,
go ahead.
I was just saying, he says the roadmap is coming together. So games every quarter. He name dropped Starfield, Forza, Hellblade 2, and Avowed, which to me kind of signaled that Hellblade might still be coming this year. I'm still wondering about that. If not this year, earlier.
I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment, bud.
Yeah, if it's not this year, I'm fine with that. But I think it'll probably, if it's not later this year, it'll probably be early next year. He says, go ahead. I'm sorry.
With the state of Redfall, I would say like finding out that the game doesn't run at 60 FPS that late in production, that is a scheduling issue. That's a production issue. Those are producers, managers, studio leads. Like they should have been on that, way earlier. So either they're falling behind, right? Because like this stuff happens because you get late code check-ins, you get, late nights, you get, early mornings, you're there all day and people aren't working properly, or it's just straight up mismanagement, right? Yeah. Like if Daniel comes in and says, hey, Umbra, Deli, what's it looking like? And then I'm like, yeah, it looks great, bro. And then Daniel's like, all right, cool. And then he walks off for 2 months and then comes back and he's like, hey, did you guys ever get that stuff fixed? And we were like, actually, yeah, we got about another week on it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the individual developers, not the artists. It's not whatever, the level designers. It's the
Proper
actual production
communication.
pipeline. It's the improper communication. It's again,
And
it's
it's
the late
not-
code check-ins. It's it's a producer coming to you and saying, how's that looking? And you're like, what? Like that kind of communication, that kind of scheduling is like, it's all off, whether it be lack of talent, whether it be too much work for one person. Like, let's say there's only like 2 VFX people. Like, that's a problem with the actual studio, not a problem with the actual workforce. It's like you're asking 2 people to do 7 people's worth of work. Who am I going to blame? Right? I'm gonna blame management. I'm gonna blame corporate. I'm gonna blame the suits. I'm gonna blame the studio head, because at the end of the day, if you choose to run your studio like that, that's not gonna look good. And unfortunately, from Phil's, coming from Phil's mouth, they found out about it way too late. Like, that's not a good look for your studio. You know what I mean? No matter how talented these people are, I think they're all wonderful and they all deserve the best. But to put them on the back burner and say, hey, we have to play catch up now. Like, if we find out in February that we're 240 hours behind on work, and then launch comes up, and then, launch just came out earlier this week, and they still have like 200 hours left. I'm like, dang, bro. Like, the fact that, I mean, a game's support doesn't end on launch. So it's like you have leeway, but that reputation is just so damaged. You know what I mean? And that's what Phil was talking about in the interview. He's like, that reputation it's not good. It's not a good look.
Yeah. And that's the thing I think a lot of us take away from this, Deli and Danny, is that this right here damages the brand a lot. This whole situation here. And I know a lot of people kind of oversell it. So I see some people will do a pushback.
For sure. They're like, I'm going to sell my Xbox.
Right. It was doom and gloom.
Are you even one of the people that was looking forward to this game? Because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, when I was looking at this game pre-launch, I was like, yeah, I don't know that that's going to be a particularly great game. Like, just based on what we had already been seeing.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, and I see some people probably overselling things and overdoing it, overreacting.
Right. Well, that's just the internet. They do that about everything.
That's true too. It is. It's the vocal minority being just much louder than everybody else. But but it is fair to say that the situation does cause a lack of faith in Xbox and how they do what they do. And some people will say, well, what about these other games they released well? And that's fair. Those games did come out right. But it's also fair to say that these slip-ups that Microsoft continues to have is not something you see often with Nintendo and Sony. And I
would disagree on the Nintendo front, but that's fine.
Well, you think of them as just playing with like sticks and
look, we all saw what those last 2 Pokemon games look like. All right, we all saw what Pokemon Arceus looked like.
I think with the Xbox situation, you have to take the good with the bad, right? Yeah. Like, we can play the whataboutism game all day long.
Yeah,
but
for sure. The
problem here is you have good and bad, and actually, I think you have bad more than good. You have bad press more than good press. If you look at all the good news, Xbox, like good news, games journalism is a totally different topic. I'm not going to dive into that because I have as a developer, I already have a contentious relationship with them. So that's a totally different topic for another day. But like, if you look at the games media and you look at all the positive articles, let's say there's 100. If you look at all the negative articles, there's like 700. You have to take the good with the bad. And the problem is, Phil, and thankfully he owned up to it on the podcast, which again, mad respect for. It's not going to fix the situation, but it's very nice to know that he has the scope and in his optics.
Yeah.
It means he's conscious of it.
Yeah, this situation is on his desk.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Steph asked an interesting question, Deli, and what are your thoughts on this? He says, do you guys think that someone could lose their job over this issue, or just a slap on the wrist?
It really depends on how bad things are, really. Like, I don't know what their roadmap looks like, right? So if this can be turned around in like six weeks, no problem. Everybody keeps their job, right? I think that people should be fired over this situation? No, because I think that people worked hard on it, and you guys can attest because you guys have played the game. There's potential in the game. Like, you have glimmers and hints of creativity, of originality, of fun, of excitement, but they come so far and few in between.
I don't think that anyone would ever say that Arcane is not capable of making good games.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a slap on the wrist. I think it's like a stern talking to the studio, because this is one of those things where Phil would have to come down on Todd, and Todd would have to come down on, you know, Harvey Smith or whoever runs the studios, because at the end of the day, it's not the developer's fault, it's the actual studio. And I retweeted something on my Twitter where a Redfall developer was talking about how other game developers are shitting on game developers.
I saw that on Sadie Boyd, right? I was actually going to highlight that. Yep.
I hate that so much.
And you scroll down and she says, I would love to talk more about it and be transparent about the actual issues, but PR is going to get on my ass.
Yeah, saw that.
And there it is right there in that tweet. It's like the studio knows, and because the silence, because of what's going on, it's out of the developers' hands. It's all marketing and PR now. And how marketing and PR turn this around in the next month or next 6 weeks, that's where we're gonna really, really see how credible and reliable Arcane Austin is. And that's how we're gonna see whether or not Phil keeps his word. And that's how we're gonna see the reputation of Bethesda. I'm not gonna say like come out of the dumps, because Bethesda's just got a really good reputation, you know, but get picked up again, because that's really the biggest thing right here. And so we kind of have to wait, right? Because, you know, I talk to these developers, and you guys follow me on Twitter. I talk to these developers a lot, and we interact a lot. And it's just very heartbreaking to see that developers on the game can't even talk about the state of the workplace or state of the game.
Yeah.
Because it's gotten so bad that it's out of their hands.
Yeah.
So something is happening.
Something is happening behind the scenes that we just we're not aware of.
You know, we just have to wait. We just have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, we'll just have to wait. If we get a statement, we get a statement. If we get no statement and the game is fixed one day, then that's what we're gonna get. Like, I don't quite know yet. You know, it's still really, really early, so we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah.
You know, there has been some interesting, I guess you can call it interesting, theories that popped up because of this whole situation. And you know, I know I try to take my tinfoil hat off, but even I was like, this is odd that you put this game out as a developer. I'm just saying, as a lead over that you saw this right here and you were like, oh yeah, this is perfect right here. And so, you know, some of the theories are that internally, some of these guys don't like Microsoft. And I know it's far-fetched to say.
That's insane.
Yeah, internally they're wondering, is it some sabotage? What are your thoughts on something like that?
No one is ever going to spend 5 years working on a project and intentionally make it bad.
Career suicide. I've said that publicly too. Is like, I would not want to work 4+ years on a project just to cash in on a paycheck. Like, lazy devs don't cut it in the industry, bro.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, before I was a game dev, 10 years ago when I was like in high school, right? Because I'm that young, guys. But 10 years ago when I was in high school, you know, in my game design class and stuff like that, in my engineering classes, people were using Maya and Photoshop or Blender or whatever. Fast forward 10 years, you know, when I was at Ubisoft, or, you know, when I was at Microsoft, I have like 20 programs now. And, you know, the whole lazy dev concept is like, bro, I have so many programs I have to learn how to use. If I don't keep up with the time and the technology, I'm out the door quick. So do I think that somebody spent 4 years of their time sabotaging? No, I think that's bogus, man.
Yeah.
And especially as somebody who gets a lot of flack, if you guys see on Twitter my banner, people trash talk me, right? So if you guys don't know, I put this banner on my Twitter because I think it was super funny. Somebody came out of their way to tweet at me and said, you can't tweet this with pride, having worked on Watch Dogs Legion. And somebody just randomly came into my conversation with somebody and harassed me. But I hadn't been on Legion since it launched like 2 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't know what that has to do with anything at the conversation at hand, right? But it's crazy to me that somebody, like, that theory is crazy to me that somebody would spend 4 years. Like, I'm not stranger to getting shit talk on the internet because I worked for Ubisoft, but
yeah,
I would be hard pressed to spend 4 years of my life, especially working the hours that they work sometimes and doing the things that they do, to commit career suicide. I think that's absurd. I think that's an absurd rumor.
Yeah. So speaking of Sadie Boyd that we were talking about, here it is. Here, what that specific on screen here about that specific topic at hand. And it's like you said, it was surprising to see such negativity. And it's also kind of crazy that, you got colleagues like she said, who were discouraging and things like that. So what she said is, she says, I did not anticipate my own peers, friends, or colleagues openly mocking and being gleeful on a difficult launch. Delighting in the failure of others, no matter how you feel towards a company, seems mean-spirited. I feel sad and disappointed, confused and disappointed. She says, I try to keep things positive, I really do, but I am human, I have feelings. Seeing people I looked up to saying things like, they deserve this, now their resumes are tainted, LOL. What effing idiots, etc. have truthfully been the only things to bother me. Personally, I'd love nothing more than to give full transparency, as you pointed out. But at the point, I feel it would be interpreted as excuses. Anyways, thank you for letting me be momentarily vulnerable before I'm whisked away by PR. Yeah, and of course she got caught at the end, I guess, because she didn't finish the G. But yeah, man.
He pulled her away from the desk.
Yeah, they got her. They sniped her. Yeah, but yeah, it's an unfortunate situation all around. And one thing I noticed too, and I was speaking with my good buddy Riskit for the Biscuit, as you know him, and me and him were pointing out in our discussion on topics and stuff like that for this week, is that a lot of this negativity has unfortunately had an effect where it has caused Xbox fans to turn against each other. I don't know if you all have noticed that a lot, but Xbox fans in general have been largely negative to each other. I'm talking about to the point where, they are talking about, I'm not following this person anymore. I'm not supporting this person just because they dared to say anything, criticize this or that. So it's a lot of fallback or fallout, I suppose, would be the better word for all of these things right here, unfortunately. And but Deli, I know it's that time. It's 5 minutes after for you to get back. Yeah. So unfortunately, everybody, Deli has to get going because he's going to be on. I'm not going to name the podcast because I don't want to give them any credit. No, I'm joking. He's going to be on. He's going to be a guest on DPS tonight with Gaming Forte and fellas. So if you all do want to give Deli support, Deli's Twitter is inside of the more description part. You can follow him there, support him. Don't follow him and then ask him questions like, "Hey, tell me what game is coming out or something." Don't harass the man. But but Deli, thank you for joining us, brother. We really
no problem. Thank you again. Thank you so much for having me on here. I really, really appreciate that. I hope you guys have a great rest of your show. Sorry, schedules were conflicting, which is why I have to kind of bounce right now. I kind of want to make everybody happy. But yeah, I would love to be back on here shortly. So maybe next week or maybe
absolutely
within the next month or something like that. So please reach out. And feel free, my DMs are opened. And everybody in chat, you guys can find me on Twitter. I feel so bad for not being able to answer every question that was directed towards me in chat. So please, if you guys have the time or energy, send them to me on Twitter. I will quote retweet them and answer them in depth as much as possible for you guys with my experience. And hopefully I'm able to answer everybody's questions because I genuinely love playing games, talking about the games industry, and interacting with people. So that's what I use social media for, and I'm blessed to be able to interact with so many consumers, gamers, fans, whatever it may be, on the daily. So, and I know a lot of people are thinking I'm crazy because it's I've had this comment before, like people are like, Deli, are you really out here in these like gaming streets, like actually talking to people, and you're not like above anybody else? I'm like, yes, I'm a gamer. I'm a consumer before I'm a developer. So yeah, I love just talking about games. So please direct any comments or any questions to my Twitter. That's the easiest way to reach me. So again, thank you for having me by. Daniel, it was great to meet you. Great to talk to you.
Likewise.
Umbra, always be able to nice to talk to you and see you again.
Same,
so
brother. Same.
Yeah, everybody
definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you, chat. I really appreciate everything, and I will see you guys soon.
Later, brother.
Good guy, that Deli.
Yeah, a good guy right there. Good guy right there. So, I mean, this discussion, I think it just unfortunately, it needs more of it. And it's just something where I know it feels negative to a lot of people. And I know a lot of people are kind of like, man, I want to hear something positive. So we will switch to that, guys. We are going to talk about,
did you want to do that now? Or?
You know what? I want to touch on one other thing before we do that. So
there's actually part of it that I want to talk about too. So.
Yeah. So as you all can see, of course, I have the great and my beloved Unreal Engine 5 playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor on screen. Jedi Survivor is not without its own controversies, though, because they've had issues technically too, and it still persists. They patched it though, which has corrected a large amount of it.
Yeah, there was a big one today or yesterday, maybe.
Yeah, the other day, I think 2 days ago now. But there still needs to be work done. It's not perfect, but it is dramatically improved. I can tell you that from my own experience. Although I did have the game close out on me today earlier when I was doing a cutscene. The game closed, and I had to come back in.
A bummer.
Yeah, that's very weird. It's very off-putting. But despite that, the frame rate is dramatically improved. The visuals and quality mode and everything is superb, along with it being in 30 or 40 if you have a VRR, which I do on my lovely LG C1, which is happen to be better than whatever TV Bushido has. I just want to throw that out there.
He's on a CRT. All right, don't hold it against him.
Yeah, he's on an Apple or something monitor from back in the day or something. But yeah, you know, it's not without its controversies, and that's the thing I wanted to point out is that the state of games nowadays, at least 2023, has been crazy. I mean, from buggy messes to unfinished, you know, in my own terms, unfinished at least, where it shouldn't have shipped the way it shipped. Not that you can it's not I guess feature complete or that you can beat it, but and respect to that perspective. But I was just saying, like, as far as games that should not have been released in the state they are, I guess is the best way I can put it. Not in the best state. We've had a ton of them, man. So I'm kind of wondering what is causing all these issues, and I know some people have pointed to Unreal.
If you're a PC player,
apparently
PC ports across the board, like the last couple months have just been, even games that run decent on console have just been trash on PC, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't get that either, and I will say it is kind of hilarious though that all these PC master racers, they kind of getting humbled a little bit because of all these issues. So that is funny. I won't lie. They're like, oh yeah, well, come to PC. It's much better there. And then they're having all these issues. So it's like, get back in a hole with all of us.
I'll take all the ammo I can use against Kayasante. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But see, some people are saying it's Unreal Engine, and I just don't believe that. I don't know. And Kay made sure to rub that in my face, by the way. Kayasante was like, yeah, you know, he knows I'm a representative of Unreal. But no, I don't think it's Unreal. I think it's something else going on behind the scenes.
If I can, so I'm not anywhere near the developer the Deli is, but I did take some class. Like, I have a degree in game development. Nice. Unreal is the easiest engine. It, like, you don't technically know how to. You don't technically have to know how to, like, write code to make a game in Unreal. You have to know how to write code to make it good. But they have this system where it's just nodes, and you connect basically just if-then statements, and you can make a game that way perfectly, like, no issues. It's a really, really intuitive skill, like, tool set. I really loved it.
Yeah, and that's my thing. From everything I've heard from people has been that Unreal Engine, and I'm talking about those who worked on it, like devs, even like our buddy 3-Bit from Fun Speculations podcast and such. He's worked on Fable, by the way, and he will not reveal secrets to me that I've begged him for about Fable. Damn him. But yeah, man, it is something, like, everybody's consistently saying Unreal Engine is great to work with, that it's very, very easy to work with. And by the way, Inferno, I saw your question. I was going to ask that, but I know we were pressed for time. They can switch to Unreal Engine 5. I don't know if they will do it though. But we never know. I guess it depends on how long they stick with updating Redfall. Yeah. But my guess would be no, because I think they have so many other issues that are much more pertinent, if you will, over that.
I wouldn't throw an engine change on top of the existing issues. That seems like
crash the game altogether or something. Yeah.
I mean,
they couldn't get that right
if it hasn't already.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Like, Yeah, and yeah, Pyro, it's been a majority of games this gen having terrible launches. I don't understand what
It's
is
really
going
weird.
on. And he
Yeah.
says the pandemic kind of decimated the QA workforce. Like, I guess that could be some of it. I really don't understand it, but it is
Yeah.
tiring
Well,
to
I
get
mean,
these games that are coming out seemingly unfinished. And I say that with greatest respect to, like I said, that perspective. But and also them asking us for a full $70. That to me is
right.
what strikes me the most. It's like, here, we want all your money, but you're not going to get all of this game. That's a problem. It's a problem, and it has to be addressed and fixed. You know.
Yeah, that's why I don't. It's gotten to the point where I don't pre-order a game. I don't buy most games day one. Like
Mhm.
I'll wait. If it's on Game Pass, I'll play it day one because no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But so far this year, I've only bought I think 2 games day one, and I haven't been burned yet because Resident Evil 4 was pretty much rock solid. And I honestly forget what the other one was, but I don't remember having issues with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so I've
some
gotten really
studios you can
lucky.
trust more than others. So there
Yeah,
is
but
that.
then like last year, I was really looking forward to like Saints Row or Gotham Knights, and both of those had a ton of issues at the launch. And so I ended up not buying them, and I have both of them now, but haven't touched them, just because now I don't have time. So it's this really weird thing where these games are like they're hurting themselves by launching in this state, obviously, but then also it's this sort of build on effect where it's like even if you fix it later, there's all these other games that are coming out that I'm not going to have time to go back even if I necessarily want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I guess the answer that we can give anybody wondering about is that we don't have the answers. You don't have the
it's
answer,
true.
Sway. Yeah, we don't. It's just it's unfortunate, man. That's the best
Yeah.
way I guess we can put it is it shouldn't be going this way, and I hope that they get it together. That's the biggest
Yeah. The one
thing.
thing I want to add to this conversation
Yeah.
is like I know that a lot of games have been launching poorly lately, and that's a huge problem. And you should have every right to be upset about it. Like everyone listening to this and everyone who spent money on those games, you have every right to be upset about that. I think you take it a step too far when you start like being super toxic and like yelling at devs on Twitter or calling for people to get fired. You don't know what that situation is. You can sit there and you can say Matt Booty needs to get fired. This person at EA needs to get fired. Whoever, right? And the fact of the matter is you don't actually know who's at fault. And you can sit on the outside and try and bake it in your mind to figure out like pull out your murder board and connect the red yarn to a bunch of pictures of people at the grocery store or whatever your crazy ass is doing. But like for real, there's no problem with being upset. But if you are taking your upsetness and you are using it to ruin somebody else's day or potentially career, then you have gone too far and you need to stop.
I agree.
Because
Yeah.
that is not okay.
I agree. And some people, man, have really gone overboard. And I get why some Xbox fans are like turning against that narrative and that notion where they just go and make everything the worst. I get it. I really do.
I understand the emotion behind it for sure. I think that some of the actions go too far.
Yeah, that too. And then the rhetoric. The rhetoric also causes a lot of issues, right? Because even in the interview, I don't know if you noticed it, but Phil had kind of alluded to, not even alluded, he flat out said, yeah, I know that, people want to, have me go on more or less. Maybe the next person that they bring in, so on and so forth. He heard it. He's heard the talk of fire Phil Spencer and all of this.
Which is the most insane thing I've ever heard.
It is pretty damn insane to hear that type of talk, knowing that this man, had he not gone to bat for Xbox, the division would be closed right now. So it is pretty crazy to hear that.
If you replace Phil with somebody else, we will never have this level of transparency with Xbox again.
I
Nobody else is going
agree.
to. Nobody else is going to show up on Kind of Funny like 2 days after this horrible game launch and this issue with the CMA and all this stuff and talk just really candidly about it.
True.
We've never seen that before at any of these major publishers. This is so rare and so refreshing to have somebody who yes, he's, you know, the CEO of Xbox basically, or like whatever, and he's like this huge big deal, but like he still feels like a real human being. Like he was on that podcast and you could feel like he was hurt and he had every reason to be.
Yeah.
And like he was really upset by some of the comments that he was getting, and he was taking full ownership, and he was being like just the most genuine, kind person you could ever ask to meet.
Yeah.
But like you could tell it was messing with him. Like we'll never, if we replace Phil Spencer, we will never have that level of clarity again. It just won't happen.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's the thing I like about Phil and Xbox team in general, how they communicate with us. But the fact that he is a real dude, he's real. I appreciate that. I don't like fake, you know, personas and things like that. I like people to be genuine. And I think Phil is just one of the most genuine people. And to be in that position and be that transparent and relatively, you know, straightforward.
He didn't even try to like sugarcoat it. He was like, yes, this is a problem. Yes. And he was like even taking fault, like blame for it, which I don't think it was his fault specifically, because he's so far above. Like, I mean, like Deli said, it's not Phil Spencer's fault. It's the people who are like in charge of the individual studio who are not communicating and like that sort of thing. Like Phil Spencer is so many degrees removed from that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But like he's taking personal blame for it, which is really respectable. And he's not saying, you know, he's protecting the studio because they're his boys, but he's also being like, but they did mess up. And I think that's I've never seen a leader that I respected more. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
I agree with you 100%. Hey, so guys, if you all could do me a favor and like the podcast, that would be great. We appreciate you guys for being here. Excuse me. So we had two questions I saw that I wanted to kind of ask. So Inferno asked, he said, Danny, he would like you much more if he found out you were an OG Saints Row fan. Is that the case, Danny?
I like all the Saints Rows. I like them for different reasons. I think specifically, so I really like Saints Row 1. I like all of them. Saints Row 1 I think is the roughest one to go back to at this point because some of the controls are just like, they just don't work. They just do not work. Like you have to do like Tekken claws to get some of that to work and it's just not worth it. I think probably Saints Row 2 is the one that I look back the most fond.
I love Saints Row 2. Yeah, same.
Yeah, the ones afterwards get really crazy and they're like a very different game, but I also love that different game. Yeah. So I'm just happy across the board. You know what I mean? The only one I didn't like, and I guess I haven't played it yet, but just based on what I saw, was the newest one.
Yeah, the same here.
Oh,
same
and Agents of Mayhem, if you count that, because that game sucked.
Oh, I bought that too. I bought it really cheap though. I bought it like for like $3 or something. But no,
I don't know if that counts, but it was bad.
No, I'm with you on that 100%. And Bushido, I will tell you what to do. Like this podcast, damn you. And Stay High, FFF. I think this is my first time seeing you, Stay High. Oh, look at that. Shane Bailey is our newest subscriber. Thank you, brother.
Hey.
So Shane says the best newest podcast. How does he put it? The fixed best new podcast 2023. Thank you very much for that. I don't know if I believe it, but thank you. By the way, do you guys feel more confident about Starfield after listening to the interview? I kind of do, honestly. I'm a little worried about it not having 60 frames per second. Because
that would be my number one concern. I think the game will be good, but that would be the number one concern.
Exactly. And Starfield is my most anticipated game of the year. And I think, and I've said it before, and I don't think I know it. Todd Howard makes generational games. Him and his A team at Bethesda, they make generational great games. It's something you're going to continuously play for generations to come. It's not going to be you'll play this here and then put it down. No, you're going to keep playing it. People are going to keep playing it. People are going to keep modding it, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not worried about the game being great. I think it's going to be great. I've already been confident in it as far as that goes. Stay High. And I would say my biggest concern is just frames. That's it. I don't know if it's going to be 60 or not. And I think even Phil, because they asked him, and you can tell he didn't really want to answer that because
they asked. Yeah. Specifically, they asked, will we have clarity on whether it'll be 60 frames or not?
Exactly.
Like by the showcase. And he said yes.
Right.
So that could still mean no. Yeah. But at least we'll know that it's a no.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was my thing. And the way he was looking kind of was like, I can't quite answer this, but he answered it by just saying yes, yes or no answer. So I'm not confident that the game will be that, but he did acknowledge that they put extra people on them to help in development, and I think that is the biggest case we have to say that it'll probably be 60, because they put a team on it to work on it further, and of course they've given them so much time that it's very possible that they could have it.
I hope so. I really do.
And truly,
I'd be lying if I said it would stop me from playing it if it wasn't 60 though. Like it's gonna be my whole summer or fall, whatever, September.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Nah, yeah. Truly says he loved Agent of Mayhem. He said it's dope.
I think he's trolling.
I think so too. Truly is. And you know, he might be right. As far as I'm not right, but he might be telling the truth, because Truly has a very acquired taste when it comes to gaming. Sometimes, I guess
that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. But you know, so Danny P asked. He said, "What are our top 3 games you each want to see at the Xbox Game Showcase?" We're actually going to get to that soon.
That's our very next topic.
Absolutely, we're transitioning to that. I'll just say that I'll say just finally about Star Wars, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
These games this year, I don't know what these developers are doing. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if it's Unreal causing it. I refuse to believe it's Unreal causing it. But whatever the case is, please get y'all S together. I'm not going to curse. Get your stuff together, man, because it's looking bad out here for this right here. And it's unfortunate. You know, again, you all are asking us to pay $70 for, you know, quote unquote unfinished games. It's not fair to us as consumers. It really isn't.
It really hurts my ability to get hyped for games when
it
it's
does.
like, I'm really excited for this. I hope it's not absolutely broken when it launches. And so many of the games this year and even last year have been just not, like, barely playable.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. I just want us to be excited for gaming, and this right here hurts that excitement, because you're like, can I be excited? Because the recent, you know, few past here has shown us that you can be excited and you're going to be let down by all these issues. So I'll just say these last few things on part of the interview, and then we can move on. So Paris had name dropped a few games, and he asked Phil when to expect updates for him. So Phil said we'll announce new games, and you'll get updates on some of these things on your list at the Xbox Game Showcase in a month. He says, what gets me really excited is when I look forward over the next quarters of how we get a big name out every quarter at quality. Finally, he says. We've got games coming every quarter that I think will surprise and delight our customers. Now, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, we don't have anything good to show you. But I think that Microsoft in general and Phil in general, they kind of get a good feel for us and understand when we say that, we expect some big things. And I think that they're going to acquiesce to that personally.
Well, and he did specifically say that after part of the podcast that they had been talking about, where it was like, he was talking about how he didn't like that they were sort of creating bad PR for themselves by making expectations and then failing to meet them. Specifically, he was talking about the 12-month thing from the last showcase. And so I feel like you wouldn't then immediately say, hey, but we do have, you know, a bigger amount of games coming out. I don't necessarily think that it'll hit like every single quarter, because, like, you know, stuff happens.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he would say that if he didn't truly believe it. You know what I mean?
I agree. I agree with that. So Danny, could you lead us into the next topic?
Yes, absolutely. So the Xbox Game Showcase and / Starfield Direct are coming up very soon. Like, we're just about a month away from it at this point. And so we thought that we would get a jump on the SEO, because everyone else is going to be doing this sooner or later, and get our predictions out for the showcase.
Absolutely.
So we've each got 5 sensible ones and 1 like dream crazy shot one. That I think that's what we settled on. Yeah. So we're just going to go back and forth and go through our predictions here. Did you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And I was going to do it in a top 5 thing, but I'm like, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I just want all of them to be there.
I do have mine in ascending order if you want to do that. So either way.
Yeah. I decided against it just because I didn't feel like going through the head work in my head, like, okay, this would be my most anticipated over this one. I just didn't care. But yeah, so a few things we expect to see there, at least for me. One of my games I expect to see showcased, at least with gameplay and everything, is the first on my list, Fable. We have to see Fable. It has been 3 years, by the way, since we've seen most of these games. talked about, showcased, updated, or whatever the case. There's been a few. I'm talking about from Fable to Avowed to State of Decay. It's been 3 years for all of those. Everwild.
Yeah.
They cannot go through this showcase and not show us Fable. And I'm sorry. I need to see that shown. I don't care if it's a small vertical slice where you just show it a character. I need to see something. I need to see some type of proof of concept that this game exists at this point, because we haven't seen anything. I know it exists.
Yeah.
I'm being dramatic, but we need to see Fable. So that is, if I had to put that on a list of 1 through 5, that would be number 1.
I agree with you. I think that that's definitely something that we need to see. I'm not optimistic about seeing it. I think that I think genuinely we're at like a 50-50 for that one. Just because that one, first, I can't shake the feeling that one still feels like it's pretty far off. And I feel like, especially after the 12-month thing, I think they're going to be a little bit more gun shy about,
that's true.
Showing stuff off early.
That's fair. What would be one of yours that you're looking forward to seeing?
So my number 1 here is a Hellblade 2 release date. I think this is basically a surefire. I would be really, really surprised if this doesn't happen. I think this is going to be like the first major game for them next year. I think it fits into that sort of February, March window that like Elden Ring and Horizon were in.
Yeah.
I think that it's a surefire thing. I think that they really want to blow the doors off with this game. Everything we've seen about it looks really good. It's a very heavily cinematic game, so it's a little bit harder to mess up because it's not potentially like, they're not having to worry about like all these co-op servers and all this stuff. So I think that they're really going to put a lot of eggs into the visual fidelity of just really showing this thing off at the showcase here.
Yeah.
I guess it's possible that they could save it until the Game Awards, but honestly, I don't see any reason why they couldn't show it at both. So I think we get the release date here because this is the next big game from them. I think this is the next big game after Starfield, and we already have Starfield's release date. So we need to know what to look forward to next.
Do you think they're going to actually show gameplay, or do you think it'll just be an announcement?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we'll see. I think we'll see combat. I don't necessarily think it'll be like unbroken, like 5 minutes or whatever crazy like that, because I think they're going to be kind of like going through things pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see like in a trailer there'll be gameplay like mixed in. You know what I mean? And we'll see some of it in there. I don't. And maybe we'll see more like stuff come out afterwards about like here's like 10 minutes of gameplay or whatever.
Yeah.
And hopefully the combat looks a little bit better, because that was I think the one weak point of the first one. But I don't know. The first one had that problem and still received like really glowing reviews. So
yeah
maybe it's not the end of the world.
Maybe not. And I do agree with you on that. I think they will showcase something for Hellblade too. I'll move that off my list since you named it. So I'll name this instead.
Okay.
Avowed.
That's on mine too.
That would be my second. Avowed, I think a lot of people, not that I think, I know, a lot of people are anticipating Avowed. I've seen some people actually more excited for Avowed than they've been for Fable. So, and for
I'm
good
more
reason.
excited for Avowed than Fable.
See, and for good reason. It's Obsidian, so we know they're going to give us something quality, and I understand that. And the game the premise did look good. I'm interested in seeing how hopefully dramatically better it looks from the little snippet we saw that was released online, and the gameplay of it. It was a little leak. I don't know if you saw it, but it showed like the hand signal magic and stuff that the guy was doing.
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah,
you'll have to send it to me later.
I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. It was very low res because it was like captured off a potato or something, but you could clearly tell it was Avowed. And it did look interesting, even though it was filmed from that. You could tell that that premise is set in place and how you're gonna do magic and things of that nature. So yeah, man, Avowed, I've seen so many people excited for that. It is Obsidian, so it is very worth being excited for.
Absolutely.
And it's funny too, because now we've seen that Immortals of Avium come out, or be announced rather, and that right there, and it looks pretty, and it's very kind of much in the same vein of Avowed, and that how they do the magic with their hands and use that as their attacks. So I'm wondering how that's going to play out. I think though Avowed is still going to have it where you use a sword too. I don't think it's just going to be.
Yeah, it looks like it's very Skyrim-ish.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That was my thinking.
Yeah, I had that on my list too. That's actually also my number 2.
Nice.
But I said specifically I think we'll see gameplay, because I think Avowed is also next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's later next year. I think it's like fall to winter. Because I really think Avowed and Hellblade are going to be the two big ones of 2024, and then there'll be like a couple other smaller ones mixed in, like a Hi-Fi Rush level, double A sort of thing. Like maybe Compulsion's game. I don't know what their thing is, but we keep hearing rumors about that. But yeah, that was also my number 2. So if you want to go to your third one.
Yeah, that could definitely be it. Shane, Shane, by the way, is joining us this Friday on Xbox Infinite. He says, I think Hellblade and Avowed are more likely. Phil mentioned new announcements, maybe In Exile or Compulsion, and that's a good point. And that would be my third. Is actually between actually I'll put them together. In Exile and Compulsion. I think we'll finally see the often rumored steampunk game that Compulsion was working on, and whatever RPG that In Exile was working on, and this time outside of their wheelhouse, something different that they were doing. So I actually do hope to see those two as well. It's been enough time for that. Even if it's just, I guess, an announcement, I don't need to necessarily see gameplay of that, because they're probably not anywhere close to doing that or showing it, at least In Exile, I believe, isn't. But Compulsion, I would imagine, has enough where they can show us a little vertical slice, I would imagine, at this point, because they've been working on that since I believe they've launched We Happy Few. So absolutely, I would love to see what they're working on there and showcase that to us and announce the games for those two.
Yeah, and they definitely had, I don't think they were working on it the whole time, because I think, if I remember right, Compulsion was the one where they had to get like a whole new studio for one reason or another, because they've been growing so much or something. So they've been having just a lot of growth going on over there, and I am very excited to see what their next project is.
Yeah. So what will be your next one for you?
Yeah. So in a similar vein, my number 3 is the new game from Machine Games. I think that it's time that we see their announcement. Specifically, not Indiana Jones.
I was going to say, wait a minute. I was just about to say, isn't the next one Indiana Jones?
We've been hearing really mixed things, so that's why I'm saying not Indiana Jones. Because I remember there's been all these rumors of they've been working on something else. I think that it was like another Wolfenstein game, I think was the rumor. Although I don't even necessarily know if it'll be that. But there's definitely talk of like there is another game that's going to come out before Indiana Jones, and I think it's time, if that's true, I think it's time that we see that, because Machine Games' last major game, not including the VR like Cyberpilot thing that they did, was in 2019.
Yeah. So
it's been a minute. Like it's definitely a situation where they could announce it and launch it like next year.
Yeah. That's possible, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, I guess depends on the size of the scope of it, right? If it's a big AAA, that probably won't be. But
I mean, if it is the Indiana Jones game, and the other game got like pushed back, or the rumor just wasn't true or whatever, that would also be really cool.
Yeah, that'll be dope. Actually,
when does the new movie come out? Do you know? The Dial of Destiny? Because I do think somehow they're gonna try and build some like synergy between the two.
That's a good point. It could be the case. It comes out actually this year.
Well, I don't think Indiana Jones is coming out this year. I don't think the game is coming out this year.
Yeah, it's coming out June 30th this year. I'm actually definitely going to see. Actually, Harrison Ford, if you all didn't know, is my favorite actor of all time. So I have
for a second, I thought you were going to say he's my father, and I was like, oh my god,
Harrison Ford is my father. I've lost him.
My daddy.
I've lost him, Indy. But yeah, no, Harrison Ford is my dude, man. I got nothing but love for that brother. I don't know if it's the bias of me being in Chicago and him having made a few. He's from Illinois, and he also just I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is for me, but it's a mixture of things, and I guess it's also that he made some of his movies here. Like some of his best movies came here. I mean, from The Fugitive. And by the way, which came through the building I actually work at. I got to throw that out there. I get real idiotic when it comes to movies and stuff made here in Chicago. I'm like, oh, Chicago. Yep, see? I don't know what it is.
There's our big bean statue. Didn't you see it? It's the bean one.
All right. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know. But I'm not apologizing, damn you all. Oh, yeah, man. But Harrison Ford is my dude. So that actually releases. I didn't think it was that soon that it would be releasing. But Harrison Ford.
Yeah, kind of snuck up on me too.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of movies, man, we got Deli had already gone to see it, but Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later if we still got time.
Yeah, we probably won't because I'm looking at the time now.
Probably not,
But
so what's your number 4?
so number 4 for me, I'm gonna say, because it's been 3 years for all of them, State of Decay 3. Why not? We need to see
Gotcha.
what's up with State of Decay, and it's been enough time for that. I don't think they'll be able to showcase it in full, like I don't think it'll be far enough in development for them to show us enough, because it was only announced 3 years ago. I don't think they've had enough time with that. If they're going to be going the direction that we hope they're going, which is making it a full, more robust IP, because the past ones were kind of, I don't want to downgrade them or disrespect them, but they weren't like a super high-end AAA type quality. I think that this one will be more AAA. So I expect them to give it the time it needs, and I think 3 years is just not going to cut it. So I think maybe they'll showcase what the characters look like, some of the world, maybe something like that, the settings. But it would be really good to see State of Decay 3 of how that's looking.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good shout. I think there's a good chance that game is next year. If not 2024, then 2025. Like if it's not, I would be shocked if it was further out than that.
Yeah, definitely. What about yourself? What's your next one?
Yeah, so my number 4 is, I think it's going to be a major partnership with a Japanese game. I think that's something that they're going to shoot for. Either
Kojima?
a full exclusivity. Not including that one because that one's already announced. I mean, a new one. But either a full exclusive or like a big Game Pass deal. I think the most likely suspects are probably that like Jet Set Radio game that got like low key announced but leaked but not really announced, or like Crazy Taxi, like that whole situation. Those two, maybe the Persona 3 remake, something like that. I think that there's, just because of the relationship that's been building specifically between Xbox and Sega the last couple of years, and how Sega's been really loving on Game Pass, I could very easily see something like Crazy Taxi dropping in there, or especially Jet Set Radio, because I think that was originally an Xbox exclusive, so like that relationship is there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that would be my poll, but just in general, I think that there will be a major Japanese like partnership announced.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, that'll be pretty dope too. I think the last one for me is a second party technically game, and that's Contraband. Contraband. I believe Contraband was supposed to Contraband for the Countryman. I think it was supposed to have been released actually last year, I think, or this year, I believe it was supposed to. But I don't know. Yeah, so much got pushed back that it shifted things. So I wonder on that, but I think that it's possibly a good chance we'll see Contraband shown, and I think that's reasonable at this point. So I expect Contraband to be shown off here for my number 5. It's not my highest anticipated, but I'll put it at number 5. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah. So my number 5 was going to be In Exile showing off their game, but you already said that, so I'll throw in a new one. I think that we're going to see, this is sort of a minor one, but I think that we're going to see that certain affinity Halo Infinite mode. I think that would be, especially if it's a battle royale, like everyone's been saying. Yeah. I think that's a good thing to throw into the showcase. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like, burning the house down or anything. But yeah, I think that we'll definitely see some level of update on that. I honestly, if it's just a new mode, it might even like shadow drop. I know that's a hot topic where everyone's like, oh, what are they going to shadow drop? And like, probably nothing. But if they're going to shadow drop something, like that would be the thing.
No, that would be dope, actually. If they shadow dropped, at certain affinities, I guess, VR mode or whatever they're going to do. Yeah, I would actually be
really cool.
Yeah, I would actually be very happy if they did that. It'd be a nice way for them to kind of turn things around a little bit.
Yeah, there. I'm taking that day off work, so I'll be playing it.
Are you?
That day if it happens. Yeah.
Hey, shoot. Hold on. What day does that fall on anyway? Is that a Sunday or a Monday?
I think it's, it's the 13th, right?
The 13th? It's is it 13th? Wait a minute.
I wanted to say it's 11, 12, or 13 for sure, but I wanted to say it was the 13th.
Yeah, I think it's the 12th. Let me see to make sure. That is, I think it's the 12th. Let me make sure of this before I say it. Yeah, June 12th. Yep. June
Gotcha.
11th. Excuse me, June 11th and 12th. So it'll be both. So June 11th, which is a Sunday, going up on a Sunday.
How dare you?
Yeah,
So what's your
man.
crazy prediction? You probably won't happen, but you'll lose your absolute mind if it does announcement.
I actually did not prepare this, so this is going to be on the fly.
Okay. What does your heart say? Look into the heart of Umbra, the infinite of Umbra, and tell me what that one true announcement is.
You
You want me to do mine first?
Do yours first, yeah, because I got to think
Sure.
on this a second. I want to come up with something ridiculous.
Mine's not that ridiculous given all the rumors, but the number one thing that will absolutely 100% pop me off is if there is a new Fallout game announced. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not mobile, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be like, it can be a remake, it can be even a particularly good remaster if it's like of the Fallout 1 and 2, like bring those over to console. I'd be fine with that even. But something brand new in the Fallout universe that I can jump into, hopefully. If it's a remake or a remaster, hopefully sooner rather than later. If it's a brand new game, literally, if they're just like, hey, Obsidian is working on Fallout New Vegas 2, you can give me that title card and then say nothing for 3 years, and I will live ecstatic for 900 however many days. Like, you're fine. That's all I need. I just need to know that it's being looked at.
That would actually be pretty dope if it was something like you just said with Obsidian that working on the remake, maybe even a remake or the sequel to to New Vegas.
My biggest dream, honestly, is, I mean, yes, New Vegas 2 would be phenomenal. We've been seeing all those leaks of, like, there was that weird SteamDB thing that got dropped in where it was called New Vegas 2 for some reason, and I don't really know what that means, but people who are smarter than me said that might mean that they're doing something with that.
Right.
But my number one most, like, the thing that would excite me the most in this realm of, like, announcing a new Fallout would be redo Fallout 1 and 2, the original CRPG top-down games, in the style of Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. And make them one game.
Okay.
Or like a collection or something. Like launch them at the same time.
That'd be crazy.
That's my life right there.
I've got one that's ridiculous, far-fetched, and very unlikely to happen, but I would love if it happened. And it's because I associate this brand with Xbox, and just because of the way it was released, it's been associated with Xbox for years.
Right.
Splinter Cell. If
shit.
my crazy won't ever happen prediction will be that Microsoft will announce that they've acquired the Splinter Cell IP, and that the game that was in development,
you are going crazy.
Yeah, that the game in development will be released within 2 years, maybe 3, still in Unreal Engine 5 as they've already announced, and with Michael Ironside returning as Sam. Yeah, that'll be my crazy one right there. I figure if I'm going to go crazy, we might as well go all out, right? So Splinter Cell being acquired, announced, and maybe the character model shown off or something like that, or at least you know what? I'll tell you what. Not even that. It'll just be. Oh, and one more thing.
Right.
The little noise he makes when he puts down his goggles.
Yeah. Cut to Tim Dog in the crowd wearing the goggles.
Cut to Tim Dog being sleeping audience with the goggles on his head.
With the goggles on.
All right. And the goggles appearing on the screen, the 3 dots. Man, I would lose my mind if something like that happened. I think most of us would, actually, if that happened.
I'd be pretty excited. I'm not even like the biggest Splinter Cell fan, but I'd pop off for that.
Man,
that'd get me.
I would lose it for sure. And I love Splinter Cell. See, so
yeah.
What about you guys in the chat? What would be something crazy? Give us your craziest. Yeah, name your craziest thing that you would that won't happen, but would be the best thing to ever happen in your minds if it was announced at this Xbox showcase.
Well, Pyro said a minute ago, he said New Vegas Special Edition, like the Skyrim one, but it brings all the mod supports over. 100%. I'm 100% in on that, especially if you can bring over the mods where it's like not necessarily for New Vegas, but if they even just port the what's it called? There's like Fallout Fallout 4 New Vegas or something, where they like remade New Vegas in 4, I think was one of them.
Oh wow.
Or like there was one called Fallout Miami. Like the mod scene for Fallout is insane. People have made entirely unique games. There's one that's in London. If any of those, just like, one. Hey, you can get those on your Xbox now.
That would be dope. Yeah,
like,
if they brought those mods over like that, that would be dope. Actually,
I don't even know if those mods are good.
I don't even.
I haven't touched them.
I don't either.
But
that would be dope though. I mean, because imagine that if they actually expand on what mods can be brought over to console, like for instance with Starfield, I'm hoping that, because I know people like, oh, you got to get a PC for that. I might have to go to that PC route because I definitely want me a Millennium Falcon. And imagine though if they allow that somehow to be ported in and you can download that or something like that for your ship on the console.
You'll have to sift through all the mods that are like, make your ship a penis, and then like, oh, there's the Millennium, because those ones are going to be in there too.
That'd be something Steph would make right there. Get a penis ship.
He would. He 100% would. I see you being nasty.
Okay, I see you, Danny P. You said Quantum Break 2. TJ says his crazy prediction would be that they are making a new Splinter Cell owned by Xbox. So he said the same thing I said.
Yeah, what's going on?
Command and Conquer and Mech Assault. That'd be nice. Yeah. Command and Conquer I don't care for, but Mech Assault, a new one, would be dope for me.
I don't even remember who owns Command and Conquer. Is that Sega now? Didn't Relic do Command and Conquer?
You know, I don't know. I think it is Sega. You're right. That's a From Software exclusive game for Xbox. Actually, I think that wouldn't be that far-fetched. I think that's.
I don't even think that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that's far-fetched at all. Oh, now there you go, Sonny. He says Rise 2. Man, I would pee myself probably if they announced.
Does Crytek still make games?
Yeah, they do.
They still do.
They do, but it's been a minute. But man, I would lose it if I saw Rise 2 announced. I promise. I love Rise. It does not get the love it deserves. I think it is one of those games, unfortunately, that because of the Xbox hate at the time, of the Xbox One, it got unfairly, critiqued. I don't think it deserves as low a score as it got. Same thing with like Mad Max, although that wasn't due to the Xbox. I just don't think it deserves such a low score.
See, Steph says he wants a date for Doke V. You nerd.
Yeah, nerd, weeb.
What do you mean?
Now, Doke V actually did blow me away, and I know everybody's thought.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, visually, it was just like, wow. Like, I thought it was Unreal Engine, but it's not. It's their own in-house.
So you thought you liked it, but then you found out it wasn't. You're like, nah, actually.
Is that Unreal? I'm interested, and I found out it wasn't. Oh, you mean nothing to me. It's an interesting looking game. I don't want to play with you anymore. Take you and your little fake Pokemon and get out. No, it does look dope. I actually would not mind seeing something for Doke V. Who else? It says, absolutely, Alakazam. He says Rise still looks better than a lot of games coming out now. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That game still stands the test of time. So I'm with you on that. Crimson Skies 2, that'll be dope. Bushido, what about you? I didn't see you name anything. I don't want you agreeing. I need some creativity from you for once. Okay.
KOTOR returning to Xbox.
What he said?
So, he said KOTOR returning to Xbox.
That ship is sailed. Sony already has that little. Yeah.
To be fair,
for one, that game is indefinitely on hold. They already came out saying that. Two, Sony, I still would have, I think, rights of refusal. I don't think that'll be happening, unfortunately. But yeah, what else you got? Yeah. It says somebody's going to build Fallout 3's Capital Wasteland on a planet in Starfield. I can see that.
Honestly?
Yeah, I can see that, Pyro.
DMAX has a new Killer Instinct.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I don't think that's far-fetched either, actually.
If a new Killer Instinct gets announced, you'll hear boom just exploding in New York.
You'll hear from New York and every state you're in.
Yeah. You'll be in Hawaii and you'll be like, what's that?
Is that boom? Yeah, a new Crisis shooter says a new Crisis. That'd be dope. I wouldn't mind that.
Banjo 3. If they announce a new Banjo and it's not called Banjo 3, then I don't want it.
Yeah, if you don't name it that in that naming convention, you have failed us.
You really let me down.
Yeah.
Me specifically, who didn't even play Banjo 2 because it was totally
Right, didn't even play it, but I still would be let down. What's up, Sour Blow? What's up, brother?
A whole video about how disappointed I am about this thing. I'm not actually disappointed.
Right. Yeah, man. So hey, shout out to everybody in the chat that's joining us. I see you, Sour Blow. I see my boy Cap, phased captain, as he put it here. Bushido, I guess. Drawn TJ, Shooter, my brother, as a mod. Pyro, Sunny. Who else is here? I know Steph is here. What's up, Steph? Alakazam. This is my first time seeing you, Alakazam, actually, but thank you for being here. I know I probably know you on Twitter, I'm pretty sure, but I just didn't know the name here. Black John, D-Mac, who else? Danny P. Kasea, who says Umbra is crazy and busy, but never lazy. That's right. That's right. Ganga, what's up, brother? Who else do we have here?
Face Captain throwing out a Fear remake. You need to stop hitting me with all these good ideas.
He loves Fear. That's one of his favorites right there. Yeah, Fear is one of Cap's favorites.
He's a man after my own heart.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. You know, Condemned. You know what's crazy? And when I think about my backlog and how insane it is, do you know I have Condemned 1 and 2? And I played maybe 3 hours of Condemned 1 and never beat it. Never beat part 2. I only played
the first one, but it's pretty good. Never touched the second one.
Yeah, I never got through them, man. They're creepy too, the first one at least. But I need to get through that.
For sure.
Yeah, the Condemned 3 would be pretty dope, especially if it's Unreal Engine 5.
I think at this point it probably have to be a reboot, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so at this point. So Sonny says Final Fantasy 7 remake coming to Xbox. He laughed at it. Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be dope.
You're trying to hurt me like that. But...
Yeah, that'd be dope. If finally.
Why am I catching strays? What did I do?
Oh yeah, I agree with that too, Steph. A Party Animals release date. Please, let us know what's. I've been wanting to play.
Out?
Yeah, it's not. That should have released like 2 years ago now. By this point, yeah. You think it's weird how things work out, but something like that you would think wouldn't take any time at all to bring over to Xbox. Why is it taking so long? It makes no sense to me. I don't understand that with that game, but it's on PC and everything. I think even on is it on PS? It might be on PlayStation, but it's crazy.
I thought it was.
Yeah, that game should have been out. He says, Steph says a Halo Wars 3. That'll be dope. I know a lot of people would love that. Yeah, a lot of people would love that if that happened. He says Halo. Strong says Halo Wars versus Command and Conquer.
I'm gonna need to get that.
How'd that work out? I think that game would be over pretty quick. I don't think those people will stand a chance against the Halo Marines and Spartans. They'll lose pretty fast. Yeah.
Well, you'll see in my soon upcoming video how to save Halo exactly how to solve that problem.
Here we go. So Black John says like a Dragon sequel. Absolutely, I can see that actually happening soon too. Actually, I'm pretty sure they will announce that a sequel for that because that did well for them. It did exceptionally well for them. Who else says something? Oh, Brute Force. Drawn TJ says I hated the first Brute Force with a passion, and I bought that. Because I think when you bought it, you got a beta invite to what was it, Halo or something at the time. I forgot what it was, but I remember buying it for that reason. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this because you get the beta. Man, I tried that game and I was so pissed off that I paid money for that. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of good games when it comes to what I know I'll enjoy when I buy it. That right there, that beta lured me in and stole my money because that was trash. And it was trash. I'm sorry. The concept is cool. It's just how the execution was. It was not good. A Doritos Crash Course, Cap says. Yeah, I actually would love a new Doritos Crash Course. I actually love that game. Have you ever played that before?
No, not even a little bit.
Oh, you would love it.
It doesn't sound like something I would care about though.
It doesn't. It's one of those cheesy, like little small, little nothing games that somebody made, but it is fun as hell to play. Believe it or not. Yeah, that would actually be dope. Conquer, like Sour Blow says, yeah, I would absolutely love to see Conquer come back. I know
there's so many good of it. I think the bottom line is, I think we're gonna have a really good time in June. yeah. Inferno's back. So Inferno, before I guess we kind of close off on this, is what would be the craziest game announcement or dream announcement for you that likely wouldn't ever happen, but you would love to see happen at this Xbox Game Showcase since you just joined back in? And I guess we kind of exhausted this, and I know we have other smaller topics we could probably touch on really quick, but we got to kind of wrap it up in a second. Yeah, so. I got a Guardians 3 showtime about 40 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, you got to get going.
Get out of here.
Are you are you going with a date or what? What's up with that?
No, I'm actually going with Alakazam from the chat. So.
Okay, that's who it is. Okay, Alakazam. Kane and Lynch 3 would be dope. Yeah. Max Payne 4, absolutely. Not the remake. Okay. Yeah. Steph says a Phil Spencer OnlyFans.
I'd buy it. I'm in.
Nutcase. I'll buy that for $1. Oh man, I would love. That's my favorite Halo of all time. Cap. He says a Halo 3 remake. Yeah.
I don't know that it needs it.
I don't think it needs it necessarily, but I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. That's one of the ones I actually didn't like. I wish they would have given that the anniversary treatment. I really do wish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They should. You know what they should do? Not a remake. They should just do the anniversary thing and just add it into the MCC.
Yeah. Now that you say that, absolutely, I agree. Give it the anniversary treatment. You got me. I'll actually buy that. Halo 3 is my favorite Halo of all time. It's just hard to. It's nostalgia and everything, but it's hard to replicate those feelings you had from games like that.
Inferno says a Banjo remake and Scalebound Rebirth. I'll take one of those. I'll take the Banjo remake. You can keep your Scalebound though. I don't need that.
You know what? I would take Scalebound if it's a humbled platinum. I know people don't like. I know Brisket hates platinum because of Kamiya, but and for good reason. Yeah. But I wouldn't mind it just so it can happen, just so people can shut up and not use it as a scapegoat argument anymore.
That would be pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. But no.
What if it got canceled a second time though? You know what I mean?
You know what? With Xbox luck, that possibly would be the case too.
Think about that.
That's the funniest and saddest part is that possibly would be the case. Oh, we're now Scalebound next year. It's been canceled. I give up. I give up.
I'm mad at you. Shut down platinum. I ain't looking.
I swear. And I mean, of course, outside of the showcase, they're announcing a lot of things. So it's going to be some crazy stuff. I'm imagining that we're going to get some third party announcements.
That
they acquired, not acquired, but exclude money. Should I say?
And we'll see. Like PlayStation will probably have a showcase, and I'm sure EA will do something. Like it's gonna be a good month, couple weeks. I'm really looking forward to it. But I do need to get out of
here. yeah. Let's try to wrap it up. And I'll say this last part. We also, of course, have Starfield after that. So I'm just wondering what the time difference is going to be. I'm imagining they're probably going to give Starfield maybe 25 to 30 minutes. And
I don't think it needs more than that.
Yeah, just show us the gameplay improved. I think after all this time, it has to be 60. I don't think they can get away with not giving us 60 frames. And just the way they showed it, because when they showed it to us, it wasn't even 30 frames. It was sub 20. So I feel like if they announce that, or not announce that, but announce that it's 60 and showcase that in that, and how much smoother it's looking and running, and the shooting mechanics is improved, man, that would go a long way to righting the wrongs of what happened here with Redfall, I would say. And that's why, by the way, a lot of people are like, why are they putting so much on Starfield? It's because it's for one, it's Bethesda. The first game they gave us once after being acquired is Redfall, and you saw how that came out. And Redfall is getting a lot of hate, obviously because of the stated release then, but because it's the first AAA game after all that hype being put into it for a full year and some months that we actually got. So it had a lot of scrutiny on it. And now we need to make sure that these newly acquired studios from like Bethesda, they have to deliver. And it's just putting an unfortunate amount of pressure on Todd Howard and team, I think.
Yeah, just the whole branch really. But they, like in the interview today we saw, they know it. I don't necessarily think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be an overnight change for them. Mm-hmm. It's a situation where, even with Redfall, even with the CMA blocking stuff, even with all the problems that we've talked about this year with Xbox, this year for Xbox is better than last year, and I can only hope that next year will be better than this year, and so on and so forth, until we're at a place where everyone's happy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we can wrap it up here. And like Bushido said, I just need it to be 60. Let it be 60. Have the I guess the basic things like the gun mechanics more solidified. I'm sold, man. I'm sold. It's still my most anticipated game of the year. Just lock down at 60. If they can lock down at 60, people the opinions are going to change dramatically, I think.
For sure. I think it'd be a big get. I do also think if it's 30, a lot of people are still going to play it anyway. They'll just be like, I don't like it at 30, but
I'm definitely playing it regardless. One way or another, it's getting played. I just hope that it can hit the 60. That'll be nice.
For sure. Yeah, you can just play it on PC apparently, and I'm sure it'll hit 60 there.
Pretty much. But so, guys, we got to close out. It's been that time. We got things to do. Want to give everybody a big thanks for being here with us and supporting us. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button. And so, Danny, tell us, man, where we can find you, what you got planned for the night. I think they heard it already, but I'll repeat it anyway. And what
you can find me in 40-ish minutes watching Guardians of the Galaxy and crying profusely. That's my plans for tonight. It's gonna be real sad. My friends are gonna make fun of me. Anyway, you can also find me on Twitter at Daniel J McG, or on my YouTube channel, just Daniel McG. That's Daniel MCG. My next video that I've already written the outline for, and I'm going to be recording probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, is my plan for how to save Halo, and it's a good one. I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of hot takes in it, and I'm genuinely looking forward to the comment section on it. I think it's going to be really funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't be able to see Guardians tonight, but I will probably go and see it over the weekend. Cannot wait to see it. Yeah. I think it's going to be, it's like you said, it's one of the ones I'm actually really excited for with the MCU, because the MCU has just been a shadow of its former self, isn't it?
I haven't been looking forward to a Marvel movie as much as I am this one for what it feels like actual years. I don't know the actual numbers, but it feels like a long time.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, Shane, I'll see you tomorrow, brother. We have Shane on Xbox Infinite podcast tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern. So you all be sure to come through on Riskit's channel. Riskit, myself, Jedi Knight Peter, and Doom Cutie, along with Shane as our guest. It should be a good topic, discussion rather. And yeah, Bushido, yeah, good show, I guess. Yeah, thank you for acknowledging
it.
Yeah, and thank you all for the compliments. We appreciate it. I'm sorry about that first start, but I switched over my mic to the next thing, and it caused a little issue, and you all couldn't hear me at first. But I got it together quickly. I learned from that last time. I'm not gonna have that issue. But yeah, you of course can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra, or Umbra Infinite. You will find me either way. And on Xbox, Infinite Umbra, but with an L, because I couldn't get the I. Anyway, yeah, you all find me on there. Join up with a brother to talk with us in parties. We have a good time. And yeah, man, and of course, like I said, here you can find us here on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. Xbox Infinite with myself and everybody on Fridays at 8 Eastern. And on Tuesdays, myself, Danny, Retry, which is Game Pass Daily, and Boom XL. I'm not sure if you all know the names, but Boom on Xbox Factor at 12 o'clock Eastern. So come through, support us. Got nothing but love for you guys. And we will talk to you all later. See you guys.
See ya.